In a sleepy town tucked into the woods, Valentine's Day wasn't just a holiday. It was an event orchestrated by magical beings. Cupid, the mischievous cherub of love, worked overtime to pair humans, werewolves, vampires, and the occasional witch. This year, however, he decided to take the day off. Tired from centuries of matchmaking, Cupid left his bow and arrow in the care of his apprentice, a flustered but well-meaning brownie named Pip. Pip, barely 3 feet tall, with floppy ears and a knack for chaos, was thrilled but also terrified. "Don't mess this up," Cupid warned before disappearing in a cloud of glitter. With his boss gone, Pip climbed atop Cupid's cloud and peered down at the town below. Couples strolled hand in hand, but there were a few lonely souls. Pip figured this was his chance to shine. Grabbing Cupid's bow, he started firing arrows. But the bow wasn't calibrated for someone so tiny. His first arrow zipped wildly, striking a vampire named Lucian, who was brooding by the river. The arrow ricocheted and hit Moira, a banshee who was wailing in the forest. Lucian, startled, turned to see Moira. "Why are you screaming so loudly and why are you glowing?" Moira stopped mid-wail. I don't know." Her cheeks turned crimson as her banshee scream fizzled into an awkward giggle. Realizing they were now enchanted, Pip panicked. "Oh no! Oh no!" he squeaked, fumbling to fix his mistake. But before he could knock another arrow, the bow fired on its own, striking a nearby werewolf named Hugo and a fairy named Tansy. Hugo was mid-transformation, fur sprouting, when suddenly he found himself gazing into Tansy's tiny, glittering eyes.
You're really sparkly,"
he growled, his claws retracting. Tansy blinked, utterly baffled. "Thanks. You're very hairy." Meanwhile, Pip realized the magic was spiraling out of control. The bow was glowing red-hot, firing arrows at random. Soon, the entire town was thrown into romantic chaos. A ghost fell in love with a scarecrow. A witch confessed her feelings for her enchanted broomstick. A mermaid found herself serenading a fisherman who was terrified of water. By the time Cupid returned, the town was in utter disarray. He surveyed the scene, hands on hips, and sighed.
"Pip, what did you do?"
"I was trying to help," Pip wailed. "But the bow has a mind of its own." Cupid shook his head, snatching the bow back. "This is why I don't take days off." He waved his hand, sending a golden wave of magic across the town. The mismatched pairings were undone, except for a few. Lucian and Moira, still awkwardly chatting by the river, didn't seem to notice Cupid's spell. Hugo and Tansy were sharing chocolates under the moonlight. Even the ghost and the scarecrow appeared content, holding hands in the fields. Cupid smiled. Maybe some accidents aren't so bad after all. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the town buzzed with an unusual warmth. Couples, both magical and human, seemed to have found connections they never expected. Lucian and Moira were no longer awkward. They were sitting by the river, talking about the challenges of being misunderstood supernatural creatures. "Do you know how hard it is to get bloodstains out of silk shirts?" Lucian asked. Moira laughed. "Try explaining to someone why your scream shattered all their windows." Meanwhile, Hugo and Tansy were experimenting with sharing Valentine's Day treats. Hugo attempted to nibble a piece of fairy-made candy, which promptly exploded into a glittery puff in his mouth. Tansy doubled over laughing as Hugo coughed up sparkles. Elsewhere, the ghost and the scarecrow were enjoying an evening stroll, the scarecrow swaying gently as the ghost floated alongside. They didn't need words. Their connection was quiet and unspoken, a testament to love's mysterious nature. Cupid floated down beside Pip, who was still nervously clutching his hat. "You know," Cupid said, "that wasn't a total disaster. You've got a knack for unconventional matches." Pip blinked up at him, surprised.
"Really? You're not mad?"
A little chaos keeps things interesting," Cupid admitted. "But let's be clear, next year I'm taking a day off again. And this time, we're doing it your way. Your instincts, your tools, no borrowed bow."
Pip's eyes widened.
"You mean it? I get to make matches my way?"
"Absolutely," Cupid said with a smirk. "But for now, let's enjoy the holiday."
Just as Cupid spoke, a shimmering figure emerged from the woods. It was a forest nymph, her hair flowing like streams of water. She glided towards Pip, who froze, his face turning bright red. "You dropped this," the nymph said softly, holding up a small quiver Pip had forgotten in the chaos. Her eyes sparkled as she handed it back. Pip stammered, fumbling to take the quiver.
Thank you."
The nymph smiled, lingering for a moment before disappearing back into the woods.
Cupid grinned, nudging Pip. "Well, well, looks like love found you too, little guy."
Pip tugged at his floppy ears, too flustered to respond. As the stars sparkled above, the town hummed with laughter and love, magical and mundane. Valentine's Day, for all its chaos, had turned into something truly extraordinary, and everyone, even Cupid, couldn't wait to see what next year would bring.